Welcome to the story of the Battle of Jericho. This story is from the book of Joshua, chapter 6, verses 1 through 20. The lesson focus for grades 5 and 6 is God brings down walls. The book of Joshua is about the relationship between God and God's people, the Israelites. At this point in Israel's story, Joshua has become God's general. The Israelites' task is to capture the promised land that God has led them to, beginning with the walled-in city of Jericho. At the beginning of chapter 6, God lays out the battle plan for taking the city of Jericho. It sounds ridiculous. Marching around the city for 6 days with 7 priests with 7 trumpets? But the absurdity is there to make the point that Israel cannot do it on their own. They need God. God is strong, and of course, God is with them. The Israelites obeyed God. They marched around the city the required number of times with all of the horns and priests and everything for 6 days. On the 7th day, they marched around 7 times. The priests blew the trumpets, and Joshua said, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city." The people shouted, and the walls fell down. The Israelites charged into the city and captured it. An obvious theme in this story is obedience. The Israelites do exactly what God tells them to do in this story. They go round and round for God, and God brings down walls. It is this act of obedience, not the directions themselves, that leads them to realize how much they need God. They could not take Jericho on their own. They needed God. This was an important lesson for the Israelites at this particular point in their history. They had quickly forgotten their dependence on God when they were wandering in the wilderness with Moses. Again and again, they needed to learn to trust God. And for us, we can see that God plus us plus a big breath equals victory. Although this seems like a story of a loud, dramatic conquest, it is really a story of faith. When the Israelites shout at the walls of Jericho and they actually fall down, they learned again that God is with them and that they are absolutely dependent on God. This story helps us see that when we obey, we'll be okay. Today you will bring the Battle of Jericho into the kids' world. The kids will see that God destroyed the walls of this ancient city, and God brings down walls today too. Some Bible stories like this one have violence, lots of violence. When kids read about this and other battles in the Bible, be open to their questions. And keep in mind that many kids view violence on a regular basis in video games, on TV, and in other media. Having honest conversations about violence can help you build trusting, respectful relationships with kids. As the kids arrive, ask them to decorate paper cups with a symbol or phrase that suggests an injustice or a barrier to relationships in today's world. They will build a wall of shame for your opening prayer. Make sure kids are clear about why you're using the wall imagery. Walls serve as symbols of barriers, separation, and division. When you explore the Battle of Jericho story, kids will make trumpet sounds each time a trumpet is mentioned in the story. This active and loud involvement will make the story more memorable. For the toot your own horn activity, you'll ask the kids to brainstorm walls we face and horns we need. As you discuss their ideas, remind them that God can use us to bring down barriers between people. As you involve the kids in the Bible story, you also prepare them to do God's work in the world, becoming bridges rather than barriers. Look for all the ways that you can reinforce this story's lesson focus. God brings down walls.